Good question, and thank you for asking it. The biggest thing first I would say is call the food bank that you are looking to donate to, because some might not want food from the public. They might prefer a monetary donation, and then they use that money so that they can purchase things at wholesale price, or it can even go towards keeping their place up and running, refrigeration, supplies, transportation. So first and foremost, call and say, hey, do you prefer food, or I have food to donate, or do you prefer a monetary donation? And if they do accept food, also ask if they will accept refrigerated items. Some food banks do, because they have a refrigeration system there, and some don't, because they don't have a refrigeration system, or it's just for their wholesale products and not from the general public's donation. So if they do accept refrigerated items, I would stick with like basics. You have different types of milk, including, whole milk, fat-free milk, but also almond milk, oat milk, and don't forget like fun things. So you can also donate chocolate milk, eggs, butter, margarine, yogurts. Kielbasa used to be a cheaper meat back when I first started cooking on my own. It's not so much anymore. And then you can do things like breakfast sausage, waffles, like frozen waffles, frozen pancakes, and, pretty much, imagine the refrigerated section and gravitate towards what you find yourself commonly buying for your household. And don't forget things that can just be nice to have for somebody, like coffee creamer or half and half. Ice cream, it might not be a necessity, but something as small as that little treat can just make all the difference to a family feeling a little more normal in an unfortunate situation. As for more shelf stable foods, cartons of milk, sometimes powdered milk can be hit or miss for people, but cartons of milk are super, super helpful. My mom gets those in her food delivery, like her breakfast deliveries, and they're super helpful to have. They're good to have in a pinch, even if somebody prefers not to use them as their go-to milk, but it's just really handy to have, even if it's something for baking and things like that. They also make shelf-stable egg replacement. I picked that up when eggs were going up to like $6.99. I got it off of Amazon. It's like Red Mill Bob or something like that. It's like powdered egg, but it's also vegan. And that's really handy to have. It doesn't replace making like scrambled egg, but in terms of using it in recipes, it comes really in handy. You have your basics like peanut butter, chunky peanut butter, sun butter, like, peanut butter replacement products, jellies. If you're going for canned items, pop top items, that you don't need a can opener, or you can ask the food bank, hey, can I also donate some can openers in case there are canned products that require a can opener. That it might not be an item in someone's kitchen that they have, and then they don't know how to open up their canned good. So in terms of the canned products, I think about what I use a lot, especially like in crock pot meals. You have all your various beans, canned vegetables that are good in like soups and stews. There's canned potatoes. You have canned fruit, which, people might not think that's ideal, but, if you don't have the means to have some fresh fruit, there you go. Then there's also baking items, flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and baking mixes. And then look at the baking mix, like what do you need? You need oil. So maybe, vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil, avocado oil, whatever is out there. Cooking spray, for your baking needs. There's different pastas, and don't forget gluten-free or whole wheat options. And there's tons of different sauces out there, not just red sauce, Alfredo sauce, cheese sauce, and spices. I think that gets overlooked a lot, and condiments get overlooked a lot, like ketchup, mustard, relish, barbecue sauce, hot sauce. The spices, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. It doesn't have to be super fancy, but just some basic spices to, you know, make a meal just feel a little more homey. You know what I mean? Then you also have rices, and I know we get a ton of white rice from the food bank, but if you wanted to look into things like brown rice, minute rice, or the microwavable packets, you know, depending how fancy you want to get with like jasmine rice or basmati rice. And you have things like, you know, the rice-a-roni mixes or the pasta-roni mixes, hamburger helper mixes, although that does rely on the person having ground meat. But, you know, if they're unable to use it, hopefully the person who receives anything they can't use will pass it on to others. I guess, you know, the biggest thing I would think about is, hey, what am I gravitating towards? What does my family use a lot? Cereals, you know, snacks, because there are a lot of families out there and they're needing to send their kids to school. Even with a snack, they might get free lunch or free breakfast, but, you know, send them along with something a little extra. So cereal bars, granola bars, you know, things like that. Something I think that gets overlooked is bottled water. Not every place has drink out of the tap, safe water. And, you know, things like a filtration system, a pure pitcher, or just having running water handy. It can be a luxury for some people. So jugs of water or bottles of water, and maybe some drink packets to enhance the flavor of that water, both to help with hydration and just, you know, to make water a little more palatable for some. My mom can't stand plain water, so I got to put those enhancers in it to get her to drink. Or Gatorade, juices. And I think there is this moral connection to food in terms of, like, if you need a food bank, you don't deserve anything fun. Or if you use SNAP benefits, you should not be using it on anything that could bring you and your family some type of enjoyment. But I can't tell you, when my kids see like a little packet of candy, like, it just excites them. And it's usually something we would never get on our own anyway. So even if it is some chips, like even, you know, the little mini bags of chips, you get like a multi-pack. Cookies, whether it is a pack or individually wrapped, those things can just make somebody feel a little more regular, you know, just, I don't know. It's a little thing that can just really change somebody's day. I mean, think of us when we're all, I deserve a treat. I just did this. Oh man, I can't wait to get home because I'm going to have my nightly whatever, or my morning coffee, or my afternoon treat. If that doesn't change when you're food insecure. So don't forget something a little fun. I've pretty much just gone up and down Aldi in my brain. The biggest thing is, I will say, I think I've said that a couple times, the biggest thing, if you are donating a package that it requires ingredients to make something, see if you can donate those ingredients with it. And just look at your own grocery list of like, man, what do I get every week? And you're probably not the only one getting that every week, and that could be helpful to another. And keep in mind food sensitivities, you know, gluten, peanut-free, all those different options, sugar-free, things like that. But before you do anything, I would call the food bank and ask what they accept, what they're in need of, what they prefer, and also look out for little pantries, little free pantries. That's where we donate any food that we receive that we're unable to eat. We put it in there after we check with neighbors and stuff. And it goes fast. You know, we can put something in there in the morning and it is gone by the afternoon. So people are using it. You might hear the microwave beeping right now. But yeah, thank you for asking. Thank you for checking. Even one item, even $5 is helpful, but only if you can. Do not put yourself in a situation where you're left wanting. So yeah. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye.